The golden retriever lay beside the baby every afternoon, with his nose pointed at the same wall. For 11 days, they thought he was guarding the baby. He wasn't guarding the baby. He was showing them the wall. Birch was a 3-year-old golden retriever who had been in the Calloway household for a year before 5-month-old June arrived. He had taken to June with the particular attentiveness of a dog who had decided this small new person was his primary responsibility. He followed her from room to room. He lay beside her playmat. He was in the vicinity when she slept. This was not unusual for Birch. What became unusual was the direction of his nose. On a Tuesday in October, Isabel Calloway noticed that Birch, lying beside June's playmat in the living room, had his face turned toward the north wall. Not the room, not June, the wall. She did not think much of it. Wednesday, same position, same direction. Thursday, same. By Saturday, she had noticed the pattern. Not just that Birch was lying beside June, but that every time he did, his nose was pointed at the north wall, where the HVAC return vent was. She mentioned it to her husband, Antoine. Antoine said, "There's probably a smell from the neighbors. They repainted." Isabel said, "Our neighbors repainted in September." That was 6 weeks ago. Antoine said, "Paint. Smell lingers." She said, "Birch's nose has been at that wall every single day for a week." On day 10, June began showing a runny nose. Not significant. Infants have runny noses. Isabel noted it. On day 11, she called the HVAC company. She felt she needed a reason other than the dog. She told them she thought the filter might need changing. She asked them to inspect the return vent on the north wall of the living room. Subscribe now, because what the HVAC technician found in the ductwork behind that return vent, and what the air quality report confirmed about 11 days of a dog pointing his nose at the same wall, gave Isabel a reason that was better than the one she'd invented. The return duct had visible mold growth in the first 12 inches of the duct run behind the vent, black and green colonies on the duct liner. The mold had been establishing since at least September, likely from condensation buildup on the duct surface during the seasonal transition. Every time the HVAC system ran, it pulled air through that section and distributed spores through the house. At floor level, at the level where Birch lay, at the level where a 5-month-old spent her playtime and rest time on a mat, 18 inches from the return vent. The air quality test showed elevated cladosporium and aspergillus counts. June's pediatrician, reviewing the results at her next appointment, said, "The persistent rhinitis you've been seeing over the past 10 to 14 days is consistent with mold spore exposure. Given her age and the duration, early detection here is significant." Dr. Kwame Mensah said the dog was lying at vent level, precisely where the spore concentration would be highest during system operation. Dogs can detect mold volatile compounds at concentrations far below human perception. What you're describing is consistent with a dog orienting toward an air quality anomaly. He looked at the report. He said, "June is fine, and you caught this before it became a respiratory history issue." Has your dog ever pointed their nose consistently at a specific wall, vent, or corner of your home? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. The duct was cleaned and treated. The filter was replaced. June's symptoms resolved within 10 days. The air quality retest came back clear. Birch no longer lies with his nose toward the north wall. Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Isabel thinks about the reason she invented for the HVAC call. She needed a human reason. She couldn't call and say, "My dog's nose is pointing at your vent, and he hasn't looked away in 11 days. But that was the reason. That was the only reason. And it was a better reason than any she could have constructed without him. Next, the cockatoo, who began screaming at the same hour every afternoon. And what the gas company found when they arrived and assessed the hour against the pattern